All right, and welcome back. So in this video, we are going to be going through chapter 4, section number 6, titled Using More Than One Pair of Congruent Triangles. Previously, we've discussed how to identify congruent triangles using these different theorems or postulates. Then we talked about how to use that information to then deduce that we have another set of corresponding parts. But now we're going to be talking about how to identify more than one pair of congruent triangles to help us with the bigger picture in mind. By the end of this video, we should be able to prove two triangles are congruent by first proving two other triangles to be congruent. So let's have out our guided notes. Let's begin. So sometimes it is impossible to prove a pair of triangles congruent directly. You may first need to prove another pair of triangles congruent. Then you can use those congruent corresponding parts to prove the original triangle's congruent. There is often more than one correct proof depending upon which triangles you choose to prove congruent first. So let's go through the only example on your guided notes, talk about a couple of tips and how to plan for this. So on the example on the left-hand side, we are given that x is the midpoint of segment BD, and we also know that segment AC is perpendicular to segment BD. So we always want to mark up our diagram whenever we can. We know that x is the midpoint of segment BD, so that means that BX is going to be congruent to XD. We also know that segment AC is perpendicular to segment BD, so I'm just going to draw a right angle, but I can really draw a square since all four of those angles are going to be right angles. So what we want to do here is we want to first be able to say that triangle ABX is congruent to triangle AXD, or we're going to try to say that triangle BXC is congruent to triangle DXC. If we're able to show either of those two pairs to be congruent, we can use the information that we're able to deduce from corresponding parts and state that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle ADC, thus being able to prove that angle ABC is congruent to angle ADC. So if we go through the plan that's written out for us, we're going to know that angle ABC again is congruent to angle ADC if triangle ABC is congruent to triangle ADC, which is what we just went over. But you don't have enough information just yet to prove these to be congruent. We first need to prove that triangle ABX is congruent to triangle ADX, which is what we highlighted in yellow, or triangle BCX is congruent to triangle DCX, which is what was highlighted in green. Then we're going to use corresponding parts to prove that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle ADC. That's going to allow us to state corresponding parts of congruent triangles to be congruent, and then we're going to be able to use side, side angle, or any other postulates or theorems that we have talked about. So this is one more adaptation to knowing that we have congruent triangles, to start small to then get the bigger picture. With this in mind, please work on problems 1 through 5 on the guided notes. Great job with this. Keep making yourself proud. Let us know if you have any questions, and we'll talk to you soon.